Welcome to the House of Visionaries series. Today we've got Luke Eaton joining us, who's a legend in all things data and talent ops. I'm sure lots of people will follow his content on LinkedIn.
Before I was in recruitment, I was actually a magician for 10 years. I was a professional magician.
Amazing. We were speaking earlier, you haven't had the pack of cards out for a while, but you've still got a few tricks up your sleeve to say.
Yeah, I mean, I can make a talent budget disappear pretty quickly.
So what's the theme and the topic that we're going to sort of cover today in your words, and why do you think it's important?
Sure. I think it's a theme that I hope is on the mind of every recruitment leader who's had their eyes open for the past few years, which is that we're going to be in a tight spot this year. Over the past 2022, 2023, there's been a massive reduction in investment, and obviously that's had a huge negative knock-on effect in terms of redundancies, particularly in talent function. And a lot of that was exacerbated by really poor workforce planning, right? We're throwing huge amounts of human capital at a problem of growth, which is more recruiters, more hires, and then of course that's led to pretty tragic reduction in the number of recruiters in these tech businesses. So in the future, as we ramp up in 2024, as more investment comes in and we're growing more, no business and no investor is going to want us to do that again. We're going to be under much tighter, our budgets are going to be tighter, and the way we operate and the way we grow is going to have to be more intelligent and more efficient. So we're kind of stuck in this sort of box where we're not going to have the resources we once did, but they're still going to have the same growth milestones. They still have to grow as a business. So how do we make sure that as the revenue generating of the business bit of the business does this, the operational non-revenue generating bit, which talent sort of sits in, doesn't do this at the same time? How do we do it like this? Well, the only way we can do that is with systems, processes, tools, best practices. So, and how do we reduce the level of effort to make a hire by an order of magnitude? So that's the theme for me, is hiring efficiently. I believe that efficiency is going to be a more foundational metric than the number of hires.
So in talking about like efficient hiring or efficiency, where would you start with that?
The business is always going to want to know how many hires, right? What headcount are we responsible for? But we need to start measuring level of effort. So how much cost is it to make a hire in terms of people, time, and money? So the only way to measure that is with actually getting on top of your data. We need to track the basic sort of, I call them the three Cartesian axes of a process, which is the volume, the conversion, and the capacity. So no matter what state your ATS is in, no matter how dysfunctional a process is, you need to really prioritize measuring these quantitative metrics of how much did your recruiters do in that period of time. So volume, conversion, which is a function of your volume, so what's the pass-through rate, the efficiency of each step, and more importantly, capacity, which is not as often measured, but because all bottlenecks are capacity problems, and scaling businesses, the main problem you're going to get is bottlenecks affecting your throughput of your business, then you have to start measuring capacity. So not how many have you done, but how many could have you have done it in a certain time period. And then that if you can calculate that, then all that saved time can be used to elevate the bottleneck. Once you've done that, you've got all these secondary measures that really are going to help you think about efficiency, which is throughput and identifying bottlenecks. So first and foremost, just getting your data under control and getting a visual idea of how your business works. How does your business turn people into employees?
From what you've seen, how many leaders will have that and have it accessible for them to kind of like pull out and start using? Like, do you think those data foundations will be there for the leaders, or do you think they might take that advice and go and look for it and it's just not there, or they can't get it out, or they can't use it?
I've never once been in a business that has the data that they need to measure recruitment as a process, which if it was any other piece of the business would be terrifying, right? If you went to the sales team and you were on the hook for a certain amount of sales for an investment and you said, how many leads do you have? And they went, I don't know.
Yeah.
You'd be like, everyone in that team's getting fired. It would be obvious that that's really, really dysfunctional function. I often have to start with a spreadsheet. and say to my recruiters, this is a week's worth of your work. This is everything that you do in a week. Just put a number next to each one each week. Doesn't take long, but you can start with something as simple as that, and be able to make much better strategic decisions than pulling out data from an ATS that may have had no best practices, no governance over how it works. So I think even just starting with something as simple as measuring quantitative data with a spreadsheet would put you ahead of the game when you're starting to think about like how do we scale and what bits of this process is going to threaten that scale.
Yeah.